And welcome back to the Movie Pope podcast. And today we have another one. We've got Karita Fleming here, a horror film producer. She's going to sit down with us and chat about her work in film and what current projects she has going on, and any premieres, as well as her top three horror films. But before we dive deeper, remember to like, comment, subscribe. And as always, thank you so much for watching. And let's go ahead and dive in. Karita, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good, but my first name is Madeline
Oh, okay,
but
gotcha.
Karita works too. That Karita works too.
Yeah, I mean,
Um,
I was going off with what was in the email that you sent. So I was like,
oh
we'll,
yeah,
we'll just go with that.
I was
But how are
going
you?
through some phases. I was going through phases where I was like, maybe I should just go by my middle name so I can sound exotic. And then I got to LA and I was just like, I'm just gonna go with my first name.
What was it?
But I'm here.
What I was gonna say because because I know I know with people who get into the industry, particularly actors, if your name is like John Smith, for instance, sometimes they'll change it to to Rick Danger, as part of their
Yeah.
stage name. Is that was that kind of the thinking behind that?
Um. I was born with the Madeline Carita name. I was
Oh,
just trying
okay.
to I was trying to see because like I was going through the phase where I was like, okay, when not when social media was just starting, but when I was really getting into social media, I was like, okay, I could be Carita, yeah, or I could be Maddie. And it was just I just went through a lot of phases. I think at one point I was calling myself Madeline Monroe. I was going through it. Now we're just using, my Instagram is Queen Kong Kai, kind of referring to my personality. But
Hmm.
right now I'm going as Madeline Carita. I'm using my actual government name.
It's very exotic and very unique. So I think it suits you quite well. Um, so uh, let's just get the conversation started. Tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do and how you got into the industry.
For me, I am a lifelong horror fan, so it just makes sense that I make horror movies now.
Hmm.
I just started as an actor when I was about 6 years old. Also the time I wrote my first like little book when I was about six. By the time I was 14, I was an award-winning playwright and actor. And then by 15, I was in an Ivy League going to school for acting and business.
So what was your
Um,
so what was that play about, the one that you won the award for?
it was actually called Jeffy is Five, and it's based on a story by Harlan Ellison. And it does have horror elements. It's about a man who refuses to grow up, and then he ends up moving back into this story. He ends up back moving. This is I don't know how a 14-year-old wrote this, but I'm here. And it's about a man who hit his 30s and life just didn't seem the same. Food didn't taste as good as it did when he was a kid. So he ends up moving back home and he meets this neighbor kid that looks exactly like his best friend when he was 5.
Hmm.
He also had the same name that when he was 5 as his best
Oh,
friend when he was 5. And he just kind of was just like, oh, well, And then he ends up hanging out with the kid more and more and more because for some reason, whenever he's around the kid, it feels like he's a kid again. But what we don't realize is that the child itself is actually changing the reality around it. So when this man is around this child, he is a kid again. He turns into a kid again. Though the world changes because of this child. The child is not changing, the world changes around this child. And then
okay.
at the end, he gets to this point where he starts to miss the real world a little bit, not enough that he can move out of his parents' house and have a job or a girlfriend or any of that because, we're all kind of living in a weird kind of dystopian bubble right now in our lives.
Right.
Um, and then when he brings the kid out to the real world and the kid encounters other children, those children are kind of filled with this weird rage for it. And then the kids proceed to jump him, like modern kids. This kid is still dressed like he's from the 60s or 70s or whenever this man was a child.
Right.
You
Right.
know? And then the kid comes around and it starts to change the reality of the children around it. And the other children feel like there's something off and then they jump him. They jump the little kid. And then the guy takes the guy home. The guy takes the kid to the parents' house, and he realizes that the parents are still the same parents, look exactly like the same parents of his best friend. And then he realized that these people have just been stuck in a loop where they never got to grow up or grow old or die or do anything except take care of this kid that never lets the world change around it. And then the parents kill the kid, they kill themselves, and the man walks out of the house stunned. And then when he turns around, the house isn't there anymore.
Oh wow, that sounds like some serious sci-fi shit right there.
It is some serious sci-fi shit, and it's also talking about the fact that, like, I'm not 14 anymore, but it was something that I could, like, I saw adults around me not being adults, and now that I am a full-grown adult, it's even worse.
I mean, but there's just like so many layers to it, and it's
Yeah.
phenomenal that you wrote it, at 14. But but speaking from experience, I mean, there's a lot of level of wisdom and maturity, at a young age that surprises even yourself when when you look back on it. Um,
Yeah,
so
yeah, like,
I mean that's just phenomenal.
yeah, I mean, I'm still surprised, but at the same time, I feel like I have been to this planet a couple of times already. But writing that play and, like, just kind of the impact it had on that audience is how I got into an Ivy League when I was 15.
Oh, what school
Um,
was that?
I went to Antioch first, and then I went to Stanford.
Stanford. Okay,
Yeah, I
gotcha.
went Antioch College is an Ivy League school where Dave Chappelle and a whole bunch of other people, other famous artists tend to go and hang out, and it's in Yellow Springs, Ohio, and it's a very big art school. But then
Hmm.
I was like, art's cool, but I need to eat. So then I went to Stanford for business,
Gotcha. So when you were at Antioch, what did you study?
theater and film,
Theater. Okay, gotcha.
theater,
And
film, a little bit of business, but I figured if I want business, I go to Stanford. I go to Stanford business. If I
right.
want art, I go to an art school. And that's kind of how it's been.
Well, I do want to sit on that for just a little bit because because with the guests that I've spoken to previously, a lot of times you don't really learn the business aspect, in any art curriculum. You're just mainly focusing on how to hone your craft, but it's just as important to be able to navigate the the nuances of the business side of the arts industry, whether it's film or theater or whatever. How how did your education at Stanford help you learn to navigate the nuances of the business aspect of the film industry?
I mean, a lot of what hurts artists is that we tend to only use the art side of our brain. But I live in Los Angeles. Los Angeles is a business.
Right.
Art is a business here. And it taught, like, right now it's like this is my first film that I'm producing, and I already have it in theaters. I have, it's already on billboards, it's already all everywhere. I think I learned about, like, it's more than just being artistic, right? There's a marketing side to it, there's a management side to it, there's a side where, okay, your art may be good, but if nobody knows you exist, then you're going to keep starving.
Right. And
It's the balance between what is business and what is art, and how to keep the integrity between your art and your money.
so, can you walk me through the process of what goes into promoting yourself as a brand to get other people, to notice you and be aware and say, "Wow, that's pretty striking. I think I'm gonna follow that."
I mean, I guess my secret is I've always been myself, and I've become more of myself because I really don't give a fuck what anybody else thinks. That's the first
Right.
step to it. You have to be okay with not caring what anybody else thinks about the choices that you make in your life for yourself. And I mean,
Hmm.
I get it. If you have, there's some choices where, yeah, you should worry about it. But then there's the choices of, who am I? Is this what I want? Is this the person that I am? It's kind of figuring out who are you and leaning into that as hard as humanly possible. I'm a very strong girl, so I make movies. I'm a very strong girl with a very dark sense of humor. So I make movies that go into that, even though, there are, like, the plays that I wrote, the plays and the films that I write do have deeper meaning to it. But I kind of take the pieces of me that I like and enjoy, and I just put them out there. And I think, and if you're really doing what you love, other people will find you.
Right.
But you also have to go to those other people who are like you and interact with them and their followers.
It kind of build a community, right?
Yeah, you have to build a community. There just
Gotcha.
has to be a community. People don't have to like you. They at least have to come in. They can gawk, they can watch, they can heckle, but you still have to be able to bring people to come see you.
So basically, any attention is good attention.
You know what? The algorithm does not care.
Okay.
Like, let's say, not to bring up Donald Trump, right? But the algorithm, right? Whether you loved him or hate him, as long as you mentioned his name, that little ping goes off inside the server or whatever, and it quantifies it. It doesn't care if you like it. It doesn't care if you like him, if you don't like him, if you're, but as long as you mention that person's name, the algorithm will go, this must be popular. People are clicking it a lot. Let's show them more of that.
Right.
Computers and AI don't have feelings. They only have what can be quantified. So in 2023, all attention is good attention. That's why, we got artists over here pretending to be demons in their videos.
Oh yeah, I
Like
did hear
Doja
about
Cat.
that. Yeah.
I mean, I love Doja Cat. I realized that, like, we're not 14th century peasants stoning people because they saw Mary playing with a puppet. I saw Mary dancing with the devil in the forest. You know, I want to feel like we're beyond that. And then I'll read comments where I'm just like, oh, damn, we're really not that far from that.
So piggybacking off of that,
Yeah.
uh, so 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 in terms of in terms of your work, do do you see yourself more as a writer or director or producer when it comes to your work in film?
I mean, my favorite part is acting, but I'm good at finding the resources in which to create that.
Okay.
And with the film I just did, I'm a film buff. I've been a film buff since I could walk and talk. My mom and my dad are horror movie fans. My grandparents are horror movie fans. I'm a third generation horror freak. And so it's like everything's committed to memory, and then it just hit this point where I was like, I'm just bored of everything. I was bored of what we were seeing. So for me, it's like I love the acting part. I love the creation of the world. I'm good at getting the money. That's that's the only reason I like productions, because I'm good at getting it in order to create the world in which I built.
Hmm.
Um, but at heart, I'm an actor. I just needed better material to act in, so I created it.
Gotcha. Gotcha. So in terms of horror, like, is there like a certain like subgenre or a certain aesthetic within horror that kind of informs your your filmmaking process? Like what I guess to phrase it another way, like is there like like a certain type of like director or film franchise that or filming style that kind of makes you think, huh, maybe I'll borrow some of that and apply it to here.
There's so many of them.
I
There's so
know, I
many.
know.
I mean,
It's an
I'm a
open-ended
film buff,
question,
like not
so
just horror films, but like I'm a film buff. Like, I mean, if I had the budget, Dario Argento, I would do Suspiria,
right.
but I don't have the budget. So right now right now we're at Night of the Living Dead. We're at Romero. We're at that
Okay.
budget, you know.
Mm.
I just did Night of the Living Dead, the remake.
Yeah, I saw your post on Facebook about that. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
I was signed to a not NDA, but then they didn't pay me, so I'm getting ready to sue them. But it was still a great adventure. It was like being a horror movie fan and then being in one of the most legendary horror movies ever. And that is a movie that frightened me so bad when I was like my I know my parents should not have had me watching it when I was 3, but I can't go back in time now.
Right.
And I remember that movie. I remember sitting on the table terrified of those zombies, those black and white zombies, and it was just kind of like, whoa, and it was about kind of, I guess, maybe living the rest of my life knowing that, like, you know what? Maybe if I make horror movies, I'll never be scared again.
Sort of like a way to kind of exercise the fear from you, right?
Oh yeah, and I'm a very fearless person. So it's like I think it helped me exercise the fear. And also, like I said, my parents met on Halloween, and the only thing that they ever got along with was they like horror movies. My grandparents met on Halloween, and that's their thing too. So it's like I kind of was raised, like, and being introduced to horrors at an early age, which I don't know if I recommend or don't recommend, but I'm doing pretty good in life. But I think it's a way to help deal with the fear. And like, I'm a woman of color, so a lot of the situations that I'm in, there's a lot of fear and oppression. And movies, that, like, it's like, Freddy Krueger's a lot scarier, but also the guy that's down the street selling drugs is scary too.
Right, right.
But I can take that fear with Freddy Krueger or Jason and, kind of transmute it into, well, you know what? They win at the end.
And I was going to mention too because I did an interview recently with Tiffany Albright. She's the organizer for the Queer Fear Film Festival in Winston
Oh,
Salem.
awesome.
Yeah, and I mean the episode dropped a few days ago, so I would recommend checking that out. But
I
we had a
will.
pretty we had a pretty good conversation about how horror has this universal appeal because it's the one genre that speaks to everybody because because the very nature of horror itself is the subversion of what we would consider normal in society. So people of color such as yourself or people of a different sexual orientation, like gays or trans people, they can identify with it because because in the wider narrative of of society, they're kind of seen as the outlier because they don't necessarily conform to what the general rule of thumb is. Do you like? Would you agree with that
I
assessment?
would. I would definitely agree because it's like for me, it's like I'm gonna be real. I was born to be a statistic. I was born to two teenagers in the ghetto. And then somehow at 15, I was in an Ivy League, I was in Ivy Leagues and I was doing that thing. So it's like going from one extreme to the other and never being a part of any of it. Cause it's like I was going to Ivy Leagues with kids who owned yachts. Their parents owned yachts. My roommate's mom was on The Sopranos, her Eddie Falco. And it was like going from like the hood where I'm nerdy and I'm brown and I'm really smart, having to walk to my parochial school through the ghetto,
Hmm.
through to my parochial private school through the hood. And it went from just going from one not fitting in to the other. I mean, granted, there's a lot more people watching anime and stuff now, but that wasn't the vibe at the time.
No, no. But
Yeah.
so want to so another thing I want to ask you too is are with the strikes going on right now, are you working on any projects or has that been put on hold or anything like that, or do you
I'm
still
a
find
freelancer.
you
I'm
are
SAG
okay?
eligible. I'm SAG eligible, but I'm a freelancer just because I like making what I want to make when I want to make it. And as SAG is wonderful, but at the same time, things like this happen with SAG, where you just don't work and you don't eat. And these people in Los Angeles last week served over 50,000 eviction notices.
Oh wow.
You know what I'm saying? And like a lot of those were actors who were on shows that got canceled because of the strike and are never going to be seen again. And for me, I never stopped working. I can't handle having I would not be able to enjoy the possibility of not being able to go and make money because I'm under a contract.
Right.
And not I want SAG to make it. I want them all to have that, but I'm not going to stop making money. So I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing. And I like being a freelancer. The movies that I make are really fucked up. So it's really hard. It's going to be really hard to have them buy into most studios to buy in that anyway.
So, so when you say they're fucked up, are you talking about just like the aesthetic of the movie or the plot or
All
what?
of it. I make sadistic horror movies.
Okay, can you can you go a little bit more into into that
Oh yeah,
process?
of course. So like the movie that I currently have out tonight, Ouroboros, it means the snake that eats itself. It's an alchemy symbol. It's actually one of the oldest symbols known to humanity.
Right,
It predates the written word, and it's the image of a snake eating its own tail.
right, right. The
And
circle of life. Yeah.
oh yeah, the plot is um this is what caused fights, which is really strange to me. I didn't really break the mold on horror movies or anything, but
Hmm.
my main killer, the killer is a black female serial killer. And one of the things that I hate about when women are introduced as, villains is that in order for us to understand why they would want to hurt other people, we always have to have this like long drawn out victimization, a 3 hour, sexual assault. There always has to be these extreme things. But when you see films about male serial killers, they go, "Oh, I stubbed my toe in third grade. That's why I killed 17 women." So I applied the same thing that we do in real life. Nobody goes, "Oh, I bet Richard Ramirez had a terrible childhood and he was this and that and the other." They go, "Oh, what a freaking monster." Because he's not remorseful.
Mm.
He wasn't remorseful. Like Charles Manson, I don't know anything about his childhood, but when they make movies about him, you don't know anything about him. And there is no long drawn out victimization scene. There's no moment where they finally fight back. No, there isn't. I do not want to build that empathy for this character. I
Right,
want her to be just as cold and ruthless and as emotional as male serial killers are in real life and on screen. Um, so what we do is we kidnap incels and predators from the bar, passport bros. They're easy targets. Um, because it's like one of those days. Like I was writing this with another writer at one point, and he was like, "I want the character to be big and bald and bulky," and I was like, "Nobody is going home with anybody who looks like that from a bar. Not gonna happen." And then
yeah,
I kind of kept thinking about it, and I was like, "Oh, attractive man, we could do that." And I was like, "No, no, no," because that still wouldn't happen. And I was like, "Who would be the easiest?" And I was like, "Men are the easiest catch." It just is because if your dream girl walks up and says, "Hey, let's go down this alley," you're gonna do it probably.
right.
Yeah, like it's the introducing that's a real element to like the world. Like I met this dude and I said, "Hey, you want to go down to this vampire bar that's in an alley in a basement?" And I mean, it was real, but I was walking and I realized I was just like, "You just met me once. You met me once, and now you're walking blindly down an alley with some girl you just met to a vampire bar that nobody's going to know where you're at in a basement." And that kind of helped shaped it a lot more when I realized I was just like, huh, that's the easy, men are the easiest target ever as long as you're a somewhat attractive woman.
Yeah,
And then I created the movie about that because it's reality. And I was just like, I mean, men should be thankful that women aren't, like most women aren't like that. But if there was somebody doing that, it would be really easy to do it, especially since I live in a city like Minneapolis, but this could be easy in any city.
right, exactly.
Any
Well,
city.
I mean, another thing too is because because he kind of took that trope and flipped it on its head as well. So, um, huh, were you there? One second. Let's see if we can get her back on here. Mm. In the meantime, remember to like, comment, subscribe, and definitely check out all of our other videos because we do work really, really hard to try to pump out these interviews and these reviews because we definitely believe in getting good content out to everybody. And in case anybody's wondering, I am enjoying a glass of scotch. Scotch. But let's see if we can get Karita back onto the podcast here. But as I was saying earlier, be sure to check out our interview with Tiffany Albright. It dropped. It dropped on what was it? Drawing a blank here. I need to check my calendar. Actually, dropped on the 10th. And be sure to check out the Queer Fear Film Festival as well. That's going on in Winston-Salem. And on the 17th, we are going to release our episode with Chris Stonnell of Postmodern Players as he talks about horror theater. And then his moviness returns with his top 5 horror films. So that should be a very interesting debate. And then Andrew Gadjadar of the Carolina Film Network, he will be back next week, where we will be discussing the latest developments in the SAG after a strike. So even though the WGA has come to an agreement with the studios, there's still the ongoing issue with the SAG members trying to negotiate a deal. So we'll go into detail and try to figure out what may or may not be the next move for either side. And then we will conclude the month of October with a few good interviews. One of them is going to be Caroline McKenzie, a producer and film director and actor. And then we are going to do our very first dual review in November. We're going to be reviewing Good Morning Vietnam and The Greatest Beer Run Ever. So many, many good things to look forward to. And let's not forget, we're also going to be premiering the week of Halloween, our Halloween podcast miniseries, The Hallowtide, with 5 episodes, ranging with topics ranging from choosing the best pumpkin, having a debate about whether or not it's appropriate for a man to go into a home decor store to buy Halloween decor, to figuring out what makes a good costume. Because it's a question that we all ask, whether we're kids, teens, young adults, middle-aged people, even those who are getting out there, pushing just I'm running out of words there because I've had a few glasses of whiskey. But let's see what's going on with Karita. So it looks like Karita's phone died, so we're just waiting to see if she'll be able to get back on. We may have to record this in 2 separate sessions, but if we do, we'll definitely put these 2 together to create a single episode. So stand by. But I was gonna say recently we made a change in terms of the channor. When the channel originally started, last August, it was called the Bushwhackers because originally I was just going to do the Bushwhackers series, but as as the year progressed and as we developed more content, and as we developed the podcast, we eventually decided to just change it from the Bushwhackers to the Movie Pope just to make things a lot easier, just so people could find the channel far more easier than having to explain, oh, it's this and it's that and blah 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 blah. So so the channel has now been changed to the Movie Pope, but the Bushwhackers are still in play, and we're working to get the season 2 premiere hopefully before Halloween. So that's something that I'm working on. Um, and what's going to be different this time is we'll probably just do 5 episodes at a time. So do 5 episodes, um, and then take a break, and then after a week or so, you'll get another 5 episodes. Kind of makes things a whole lot easier. Um, because at least that way, you'll get, for fans of the Bushwhackers, will give you time to kind of, kind of catch up on any of the latest episodes that have dropped. And I'm trying to acquaint myself with Blender animation because I definitely do want to do more 3D animation. And once I get that down pat, hopefully by next summer, um, we'll probably see a shift in the Bushwhackers going from just narrated stories to to 3D animation. In which case, season 3 is going to be a lot shorter than seasons 1 and 2. But plans for season 4, that's when things kind of move in a whole new trajectory. All I'll say is that for season 4, it was hugely influenced by the Marvel series Loki as Lovecraft. So kind of mush those two together, sort of. But but I was gonna say while we're waiting, another thing, I think that's gonna happen too is I'm gonna try to put out more content of just us going on random adventures. So one adventure we're doing is we're going to the Hall family farm pumpkin patch on Sunday. So that'll be the 15th. So we'll be recording that, and then we'll be posting that as part of the as part of our Halloween specials, and then and continuing with Halloween themed episodes for the podcast itself. Um, next week, next week we'll we're going to discuss Shakespeare as horror, and we'll be talking to um, Full Circle Players, which is a Shakespeare acting company. I think it's either in Oregon or Washington. I'd have to double check. But we'll sit down with the director of that company, and we'll be discussing how to read Shakespeare as horror, and we'll be using several plays, um, among them the Scottish play, Hamlet, and Richard III, because there are elements of the supernatural in there. So many great things still coming up for October, and then we'll be going to the Renaissance Festival on November 11th. We'll be going to the Renaissance Festival on November 11th, and we'll be filming that, and we'll be uploading that onto the channel, um, probably before Thanksgiving, just so everybody can get a good look at that. So we'll just have to wait for Karita to get back. So we'll go ahead and just sign off, and when she's back, we'll resume.
A few moments later.
All right, and we finally got her back. So I want to move on to my next point here.
Uh-huh.
Can you kind of tell us if about any future projects you might have coming up, or anything you got planned in the future or the upcoming year?
So there's a hold on, give me one second. Let me think. Um, I have 3 films I want to get done, but that's ambitious. I'll probably only get 2 done. Um, I recently bought a script to a Stephen King story, so I'll be producing a short film based on a script that I got recently from Stephen King.
Oh, can you would you be able to talk about that in detail, or is that kind of
Oh
hush
yeah, well
hush?
I bought it. I own it now, so
Okay. So, I mean,
another.
what was that
Huh?
like? So what was it like meeting with Stephen King?
Actually, his wife is the one that let me buy it.
Oh,
I wrote her. This was not too long ago. I wrote them a letter, and I was just like, I'm dope, but I ain't got no money. Um, and she took whatchamacallit, she took pity on a poor struggling filmmaker, and they sold it to me for $1.
what story is this?
It is The Man Who Loved Flowers. It's another serial killer story.
Okay.
Um, Granted, I mean, I didn't think I'd be doing mostly serial killer movies, but you know what? If that's the genre I'm in right now, then that's the genre I'm in. Um, it's about a man who keeps breaking up with the same girl and going into a murderous rage. But to everybody else on the street, he's the guy that your mom wants you to be. He's the man that you want your daughter to marry, you know.
So he kind of looks like a clean cut, upstanding fella.
Clean cut, beautiful, you know. Girls make eyes when he walks by. Old men wish they were young again, you know, that kind of energy.
Okay, gotcha. So you bought the script,
Hmm.
but I mean, have you gone any further than that, or is it kind of like still in development?
It is still in development because the script was originally the part was originally written in 1960 something, 1970 something, like a year I did not exist.
Mm-hmm.
And it sounds like a year that I didn't exist. So what I've been doing is adapting it for the last couple months now. I've just been adapting it, and then when I first bought it, I was living in Minneapolis. There was no place to really do it, and now I'm here, and I found all the locations in Los Angeles. So we're at the point where I give it like maybe 2 or 3 more months. I'll be moving from pre-production to production.
Gotcha, gotcha. And that's just depending on getting the funding and everything, right?
I'm great at getting funding. Right now, it's a matter of finding who do I want to shoot this. Am I going to shoot it? Am I going to pay somebody else to shoot it? Um, it's a different ballpark also when you're in Los Angeles versus when I was shooting in the Midwest and nobody cared where I shot anything.
Right, right.
Um, right now the toughest thing I'm having, not so much funding, is finding the actor to play the lead. Every time I find somebody I think could do it, either either they just kind of don't say anything after a while and just disappear, or they're a little too much like the part and they're absolutely freaking insane. And so I need somebody who's going to act crazy but is not actually crazy. So that's kind of the hard part about that.
Gotcha, gotcha.
Find somebody
Um,
that fits the role that doesn't actually fit the role like that.
so it's kind of like finding someone who you would least suspect to kind of behave that
Mhm.
way, and then they behave that way. Okay, gotcha. So so Halloween is around the corner. Do you have any plans, like any particular I guess quote unquote traditions that you kind of like to celebrate during this time of year?
Normally, I'm in Vegas for Halloween, but this year I'll be in California, and I have a movie premiere October 26th. And I had a movie premiere tonight in LA and New York, and then I have another one October 26th. Movie premieres are really tiring, so I hope I have enough energy to be up on Halloween. But
So, what movie is premiering?
Ouroboros.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Yeah, you told me about that earlier. Okay,
Yeah,
gotcha. So, let's say, for instance, it's you really don't have anything going on. It's a nice quiet October. What would you normally do to like get ready for Halloween?
dressing up and running the streets.
That's it.
Like there'll be a party, a mansion somewhere. Like there'll be a mansion party somewhere. There'll be, I'm in LA, so there's underground vampire clubs. Like there's just so many things to do in the city that I'm currently in.
What's
But
it like? What's it like going to those vampire clubs? Because I hear stories about that, but being in the South, it's kind of like hush hush. It's one of those things that
yeah,
they just doesn't come up in polite conversations. What's that like?
it's you get kind of dressed up and you're like, okay, we're gonna play vampire tonight. And I'm an observer. I love going to see weird things. I love going to see normal things. I just love observing because I make movies and write stories about them and act. I love going to observe. I guess I'm a voyeur when it comes to that. Not so much a participate. No, so participant. Um, Getting dressed up, and of course there, some clubs are just like walk on in, and other clubs it's like you need to know a secret passcode, and they feel they go with the ambiance, right?
Hmm.
But you're gonna see some things there that probably polite society would not be okay with. But it seems like more and more of what's happening in those clubs is more like what's happening in polite society.
Gotcha. Kind of like so it was sort of like it was sort of like you'd be like going to like any regular dinner party, but with vampires, right?
No,
No.
no. If you go to dinner parties with somebody tied to a cross being lashed, I don't know where your dinner parties are, but
Yeah, that's true.
yeah,
But
yeah, like you'll walk in and people will be spitting fire on each other. There'll be people participating in BDSM. Then there's people who are just sitting in the corner smoking vapes, looking like vampires.
mhm.
Um, and some people take it further than others. I just get dressed up in goth clothes and go see what it's like. Other people, they're definitely drinking blood in there, which is crazy to me. But it's
Right.
interesting to see that people are people that dedicated to the role. That's the best way to say it. People that dedicated to the role. And when they're not there, they're a banker or they're a teacher or they go back to their regular lives and you would never know that these are the people who frequent these spots.
Mhm. So
I
what
like
o
seeing it. Hmm?
so what other things do you do to get ready for Halloween besides
Um,
dressing up in costumes?
Sacrifice a few virgins. Nah, nah, I don't have time for that. Especially in LA. That'd be so hard. I was like, oh, that's a mission that I do not want to be on in Los Angeles. Um, I use like if I was living in like I just recently moved to Los Angeles, but I used to make cupcakes for neighborhood kids and then get dressed up and go party all night.
Mhm. Do you
Um,
do you kind of miss that aspect of
mm,
Halloween?
I miss the kid aspect a little bit of Halloween. Cause like they're
Okay.
not appreciative when what is it? I'm 5'9". When a 5'9" woman is wearing a costume trying to get candy at your door. But I mean, the party changed, right? It went from going door to door with my cousins and my brothers and sisters, and now I go to certain doors where there's mansions and champagne and other people who are having just as great of a time.
Gotcha.
But a part
Gotcha.
of me does miss the watching horror movies with my mom and but my mom, she doesn't even have a taste for horror movies anymore. This is the same
Oh,
woman that was showing me Cannibal Corpse. What is it? Cannibal Holocaust when I was 8, and she just doesn't have the stomach anymore. I was like, what?
it's like I don't even know you anymore. Like, who are you?
Who are you? I was like, this is the chick that showed me Faces of Death 1 through 7.
I mean, it kind of. I mean, it kind of made me think of if you were living in ancient Rome, she would strike me as the kind of person who just one day said, I'm not interested in going to the gladiatorial games anymore. It just doesn't do it for me. It's like, really?
Yeah, but you win every day. But it happens, you
Yeah.
know.
People kind of grow out of it. I mean, that.
Some people do. I don't think there's no chance for me, but
Oh
some people
no,
grow out
no.
of it. I'm
Uh,
not. I'm not gonna ever do that. But
so so seeing as we're getting close to Halloween and everybody's kind of trying to figure out what's the best horror film out there, I want to ask you if you had to pick the 3 best horror films to recommend to someone to kind of get their spook on, what would you recommend?
um, that's okay. Night of the Living Dead is always going to be a classic, whether you're frightened of zombies or not. It's a classic.
It's a staple,
Um,
really. I mean,
staple.
I remember when I was in film school, like like every other student project would be a zombie film, and when you ask
Zombies are
them,
easy.
yeah, and when you ask them, well, why are you making it? They're like, Night of the Living Dead. Come on. So
Mhm.
so I'm totally with you on that one.
I mean, and also we have a zombie universe now, like
That's true.
Walking Dead Paris, Walking Dead New York, Walking Dead, reruns of Walking Dead, City of Walking Dead. Like it spawned, and then there was the 10 years of nothing but zombie films.
Hmm.
My favorite zombie film is, I guess it's a rage film, but I don't really, when the zombies became fast, it still felt like zombies.
Yeah.
I mean, granted, I love 28 Days Later. Cillian Murphy is my dream, is my dream husband. But I'm gonna say the movie that frightened me the most, I'm gonna say Candyman. Candyman scared the hell out of me, but I was a little kid. But I think that's why it goes on the list. I was a little kid when that movie scared the hell out of me.
So Candyman would be number 2 after Night of the Living Dead.
Night of the Living Dead. So I'm
All
like
right.
my favorites, not the scariest, but my favorites. And I think the last one, the last one, I don't know if this counts as horror. I think it's Serpent in the Rainbow.
Okay.
Serpent in the Rainbow is terrifying on so many levels.
Well, I mean, it doesn't need to be horror in the classical sense. Like if it like scares you, if it like creates this like atmosphere of unease, obviously it's going to fall under that genre. Just because horror is a pretty nebulous genre in itself, because
Yeah,
anything could fall
yeah,
into it.
yeah.
Um,
But Serpent in the Rainbow is terrifying because it seems like so many things in it could just actually happen aside from the hallucinations and stuff like that.
right.
But like
Like
when
so,
he's buried, there's one where he's just buried alive, and that like my family is Creole, so there are people who practice voodoo, and that is one of the many attributes of supposedly voodoo. And it's just the idea of being alive, but being alive in a body that you cannot control. It's just terrifying. I guess that's also like a zombie.
yeah, gotcha. Just out of curiosity, did you ever participate in Humans versus Zombies? Because I know that was a huge thing back in the early 2000s, all over college campuses. Did you ever do
I
that?
wanted to, but I was going like I'll say it. I wanted to, but I was going to a very snotty school.
Really? Because I thought even at snotty schools, like there would be like, a group of students who would be like, yeah, maybe we should do Humans versus Zombies.
No, I wish, but no.
No,
I
you
wish,
really,
but that wasn't the vibe. The vibe there is like, let's play yachts versus like hedge funds, which is weird that I did all that and now I make horror movies, but it's whatever.
yeah, I was gonna say like you strike me as the kind of person who would, who would absolutely like live for Humans versus Zombies. Like I could see you like taking over the whole thing and just being like, all right, this is how we're gonna do it. We're gonna run it my way, and if you don't like it, then tough luck.
Nah, I'm actually a sweetheart when it comes to my crew. Everybody
So
else, they can get this gangster stuff.
yeah.
But I'm a nice. Everybody else, they get the gangster shit. When it comes to my crew, I love my crew. I love their input. I love the collaboration when it comes to art. I love the collaboration. When I make films, I don't want to be the boss when I'm making my film. I want to be part of the collaborative effort. I wonder if that makes more sense. Like, I'm not a
Yeah.
Scorsese where I'm just like, you do this and you do that and you do it like this. I'm just like, okay, so, I think it helped that I went to an Ivy League art school because most of my teachers were named Moonbeam, you know?
Hmm.
There was no like, ugh. It was like, so let's like, what are we feeling today? And like, when Hitchcock approached this, how do you think he felt about like world peace, Like my first school was an art Ivy League where the teachers were named Moonbeam and Flower and Sunset. I took a writing class, and the first thing we did was go outside barefoot and have a sound bowl, for every class.
All right.
And then we'd end the class with yoga. My approach to it is still very, very relaxed because I feel like that makes the best product when your crew is able to relax and kind of like enjoy what they're doing. Enjoy their craft and what they're doing. I can't be a hard ass when it comes to that. I don't have it. I love it too. I love what I'm doing too much.
Gotcha. And look at you now. You're going to all these different premieres, so something's working. Um,
Something's working. You know what? I think what's working is that I'm doing a job that, like, you know what, conceivably a 5-year-old could do pretty well. Like, I never forget that I'm working as an actor. 6-year-olds excel at this job.
yeah, because it's all about imagination, really. I kind of I kind of feel for other adults because because especially if you knew them as children. I mean, you're
Yeah.
like, wow, these guys have like such an imagination. They grow up and they're like, nah, I'm just gonna work a 9 to 5 job. I like wearing neckties and I drive a 4-door sedan. I'm like, I'm sorry, this
I
is
mean,
pretty freaking weird. You
it
used
is
to have
really
a huge
weird. I mean, it's all
imagination.
really weird. It's all really weird. We're giant primates that like to drive around and wear clothes. Like, it's weird. It's gonna
Hmm.
be weird. And like it is kind of that way. And it's just like I've been lucky enough to be able to do the thing that I said I wanted to do when I was 6 years old. Like, my inner child is fulfilled. I am doing exactly what I wanted to do and said I was going to do when I was a kid.
So, and you might have mentioned this before, but if an up and coming filmmaker approached you today or this evening and said, "Hey, I'm a brand new filmmaker. I'm just getting started," what would be the number one advice that you would give them that you
Um,
feel is important?
um, if you really believe in your project, don't let anybody talk you out of it. When I first showed the film that is premiering now and has awards, I got booed in the theater. And then a fight broke out, you
Oh,
know?
okay.
Huh? Well,
Okay. That's
yeah,
the first.
yeah, it was the first time I had ever seen anything like that. I watched old movies like what is it? When Psycho came out, people were passing out. I didn't make a Psycho, maybe I did, but not, I'm not Hitchcock. I'm
All
not.
right.
Or The Birds, like I heard people were terrified. And The Exorcist, people were fainting.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, I'm not making anything of that caliber. This is my first film. And then people started booing. And I was like, oh, that's not as bad as I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
And then other people stood up and was like, shut up. You don't like it, get out. And I was like, oh, okay. And then it proceeded to like continue. And then it's kept happening. And at first I was like, okay, this is unusual. People are fighting in my films. And then it was just like, okay, well, maybe I shouldn't have made this film that people are angry and booing. And then it started winning awards. I started putting it in things, and then people started asking me for it, and it started winning awards. And now I go drive, I'm in Hollywood, and I can see my poster on the walls. I can, I'm going to be in a movie theater, Landmark movie theater, on October 26th, watching my movie in a theater. From a movie that, the first time I showed it, people booed me. And I couldn't get anybody on the soundtrack at one point, and instead Soulja Boy and Juicy J came and saved me.
Oh,
All
shit.
the points where I wanted to give up, at the very last second, something came through and was like, no, that's not it. Keep going. Like, don't let anybody stop you from going on it. Cause like, look at those movies like The Room, for Christ's sakes. Terrible film, but everybody loves it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you truly believe in what you're doing, if you really feel like this in this project wholeheartedly, do it. And it doesn't matter what anybody says that you can't do. It doesn't matter if somebody doesn't like it, somebody else will like it. And there's somebody else will like it.
And you got to give it time too, because sometimes these, you can feel a bit discouraged, but you give it enough time, everybody's gonna be like, "Wow, I can't believe I missed out on this. This is amazing."
Mm-hmm. I found a lot of movies where I'm like, whoa, I found this in a basement. This is awesome. But yeah, I mean, there's movies that I've seen where I'm like, wow, I'm glad I went to the library and got this free stuff because I was bored,
Mm-hmm.
I used to watch a lot of French films. And it's like I found movies like La Vie en Rose. I found movies like City of God. I found all these films that, like, in America mainstream, I would never have seen if I wasn't looking for something different.
Right.
I say,
Right.
if you believe in it, keep going. Like, if you're doing it just to like help your ego, that product's probably not going to work for you. If you're doing it because you really honestly truly believe in what you're doing and the story that you're presenting, keep going. It doesn't matter if people don't like it. Somebody will like it. Now, I mean, somebody might not like it until after you're dead, like lots of painters
Or poets.
or poets. People might not like it until after you're dead, but I guarantee if you're doing something that you're dedicated to and that you love, somebody will like it. It may not be in your lifetime, but somebody will like it.
And that's the honest truth. That's not you being macabre or anything, right?
No, the honest truth.
Gotcha.
Honest
Gotcha.
truth. If you really believe in it, somebody will love it. Like when you think of like, there's lots of like musical genres, like right now I also work as a journalist for a couple art stations. I work for NPR as a journalist too.
Mm-hmm.
And right now video game music is blowing up, right? Like they're doing video game music raves now. Now when you first played Sonic or Pac-Man or any of that, did you imagine that, like, how many years in the future there's going to be underground video game raves?
I mean, it was like elevator music to me when I played those games.
It was, and now there's and now it's as set to EDM. And it
Wow.
was, and now it's set to EDM, and they're having parties and raves, and people are out right now dancing to it. There's lots of things where you're like, I didn't see that coming. Okay, well, it's here now, and I loved it. I love video games, so for me, it was wonderful seeing how much video games have changed while being a part of the culture, or have changed culture. Video,
Right.
like, something that started, like, for me, I remember playing my aunt's video game, and it was two little dials, and you had a little stick, and you had to make sure that the little ball wouldn't, like, go past the stick.
Oh yeah, Pong. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's all we had. I was super little, and that's what she had. And I mean, it was old. It was old when I got here, basically.
Mm-hmm.
But it was like looking at that, and then now it's like in the future where people are like, dancing at like boots and pants and boots and pants and boots and pants, and then Mario's like Mario.
Mm-hmm.
It's weird seeing that. Like, somebody put it to a beat, and now they're, I have a friend that was doing it, and he's touring the country. He's in Japan. He's in Ireland. And it's like, when they made these little, like, this little electronic thing, like, nobody could have fathomed where it would have been today. People are dying while playing video games because they don't get up to use the bathroom or eat for days. There's just so many things about, like, this little something that was so little that grew into something else. I'm pretty sure when they first made it, they weren't like, oh, this is going to be a worldwide phenomenon. And it's like, if you really believe in it, not saying that, you're going to make a movie that's as big as video games, but if you really truly believe in it, somebody will find it. Somebody will find it and somebody will love it. And if it's not that many people, that's okay. It's fine to be rare. Because that's the best part. When you meet somebody who's just like, you saw that? Yeah, I saw it. Wow. Wow. Like, I saw this movie that was, it was supposed to be the sequel to Dr. Caligari from the 1980s.
Right.
Well, Dr. Caligari from the 1930s is supposed to be a sequel that was made in the 80s, and it's nothing like Dr. Caligari. It's the weirdest thing, right? It's basically his daughter is running his granddaughter is running a mental hospital where she can inject different personalities into hold on I get some light, where she can inject different personalities into different people with different psychosis. And there's just like, there's a scene where she makes a homicidal nymphomaniac, and then there's one where she injects this romance personality into a guy that cannibalized his entire family.
Oh, damn.
So then he starts saying these weird, strange poems, and it's like, when I meet somebody who's just like, yeah, I saw that, I'm just like, what? It seems like it's like, oh wow, somebody else is weird with me. So there's even that factor. Or Jesus Christ Vampire Hunter. I don't know if you've ever seen that, but it's terrible, but it's a classic.
Right.
It's just, then there's also films like Trauma. Trauma's trash. But now the new Trauma film has Peter Dinklage in it and all these, like, celebrities. Like, I remember watching The Toxic Avenger. I remember watching Poultrygeist. The fact that there are now Oscar-winning actors in a Trauma film is insane to me. Or was it Class of Nukem High? Like, all those really bad movies are now, people are loving them. People are reliving that nostalgia. There's more of a huge fan base than we ever imagined. Like, what is it? I work with the people who, I did a movie with the people who did Puppet Master. And they said that Puppet Master is bigger than it ever was. Those craptastic films that they were showing on, like, cable channels back in the, like, I want to say late 90s maybe, are now these cultural phenomenons. Nobody thought that when they were making these, like, late night, like, 14-year-old boy softcore. Nobody thought that. So I always tell people, you know what? Even if you don't think anybody's gonna like it, trust what you're doing. Just do it. If it doesn't work, that's fine. At least you did it.
Be true to yourself, basically.
Be true to yourself. Like, if you love something and other people are telling you not to do it, I'm pretty sure somebody read the script for Toxic Avenger and was just like, what is this crap? But now it's a TV show, a play, and now it's a movie with Oscar-winning actors in it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I saw the teaser for that. It had Peter Dinklage and Elijah Wood. So.
And it's like, wow. Okay. How did we get here? So I always say, just go ahead and make it. And if you got to beg, borrow, and steal, do it. If you got to start an OnlyFans to fund your film, do it. Like, because it's like, I'm a firm believer that if somebody wants something, really wants it, they're going to go get it.
Right.
And if you want it, you'll go get it. Regardless of how you feel about it, regardless of how other people feel about it. If you really truly believe in yourself, you're gonna get it. If you really truly want it, you're gonna get it. Like I said, well, like I touched upon earlier, I was editing my film and crying at 4 o'clock in the morning because I couldn't find any music. And I thought, oh God, I'm never gonna get this film done. Da, 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 da. And then at 4:05, after I'm sitting there sobbing, I get a call, and this very, very, very Southern voice says, it's like, hey, it's Juicy. And I was like, Juicy? Juicy? And I was like, Juicy Jang? You know? And he was like, yeah, I heard that you was making a film. I'm going to help you out. And then him and Soldier Boy made me some music. And it was like, just being awestruck that, like, I was just crying a second ago because I couldn't find people to be on my soundtrack. And then all of a sudden, random celebrity friends that I didn't know I had came and helped me. If you really truly believe in what you're doing, people will help you. People will help you get it done. You just have to put in the work and the effort and the belief that it is something that you want.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
So I know so I know I know this particular interview we've had a few technical difficulties, but we made it through. So
Okay.
so score one for us. So Karita, if people want to reach out to you or if they want to follow you, where can they do that?
I'm on everything. TikTok. Okay. So I'm Queen, like Queen Kong. So opposite of King Kong, I'm Queen Kong.
Mm-hmm.
Queen Kong Kai on TikTok. Facebook. No, not Facebook. Facebook makes me use kind of my government name. So Queen Kong Kai on TikTok. Instagram. There's so many of these things, but I'm the same person on all of them. Pinterest. I'm on all of it. YouTube. I'm Queen Kong Kai on the internet. I looked it up. If you search it up, I'm the only one that's there, which is crazy.
That's good though.
Oh yeah. Well, I got it because I really liked the movie Queen Kong. It was a female version of King Kong.
That sounds familiar.
It was bad. It was poorly made, but I thought it was funny and it matched my personality.
Right. Yeah. And if you can send me an email with all the links, I'll put it down in the description below. Just because, just because I want to, I want to make sure that that people can reach out to you if need be. Do you are you are you working on any on any podcasts or anything else that that we should be aware of? Because I know because I know I told you about that one podcaster that one podcast I'm going to be on later on this month.
Oh yeah, you did. I don't think I have any podcasts coming up. I'm a little like I'm enjoying doing other people's podcasts because I did one for 2 years and that burnt me out. But I'm enjoying doing other people's podcasts, but not any other podcasts coming up. I'm going to be stepping in and doing a lot more cinematography for other people for a little while.
Okay.
No podcast coming up. There should be some. They normally come up pretty fast though. I say, oh no, there's not going to be any, and then tomorrow I'll get an email like, hey, so yeah, I'm going to focus on these movie premieres.
I gotcha.
I'm a team of one. Movie premieres, and then also I still work as a model in Los Angeles. So I model and I also run a marketing company.
No, you're really, really busy.
Well, you know what? When you live in Los Angeles, you kind of have to be. It's expensive to live here.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
But I also moved here because I was seeing somebody who convinced me to move to the Midwest, and the Midwest is soul draining for me. Because I'm a person that enjoys that energy of other people creating around me. I'm not a homebody, and like I don't sit at home knitting. I like to make horror movies and go see people and do what I need to do, and I work a lot. And I also don't like being cold. So I I spent a lot of time running around in Los Angeles because that's kind of what I moved here for. I didn't want to let my life pass me by and not go live where other people like me live. And there's
Gotcha.
there's tons of other me's out here, and it's kind of wonderful. Granted, they're stuck. Most of the other me's are stuck up as hell, but
Yeah, but
I
none of them have the life story that you have, and that's what makes you
no.
you. So
Yeah, because for me, I've been through a lot of stuff, and I was like, what's the point of not being a good person or being a person that enjoys what they're doing with their lives? Like, life is too short. Nobody's gonna give you a gold medal because you died at your cubicle. They're not gonna give you anything special for for never taking a break. Those jobs and that life is gonna replace you. It's gonna replace you before the day is over. Why not do the thing that you love, even if other people do not always agree with it? And I mean, like, the thing that you love, like making movies, not if the thing that you love is like, cannibalism. Of course,
right.
like there's limits to that. But I do what I love, and like when and the fact is that because I love it, I tend to burn out because I don't realize how much I'm doing.
Because you're giving all of yourself to it.
I'm giving all of myself to it, and I love what I'm doing.
Yeah.
There's nothing like waking up and being like, wow, I'm living the dream that I said I wanted to live. Nothing like waking up being like, the thing I wanted to do when I was 5, I'm doing it and I'm good at it.
And you're gonna
You
keep
know,
doing it. So
and I'm gonna keep doing it. It's easy to kind of run around when I'm living my dream. Even though nobody tells you that while you're living your dream, you still have a physical body that you have to feed and sometimes gets tired. But I wouldn't have it any other way. I love having a lot of things going on, and I guess for me, I feel it kind of all feeds into the, if I wasn't doing marketing, I wouldn't have known how marketing for other people, and doing that, I wouldn't have known how to market my film. If I hadn't did all these other jobs leading up to this, I wouldn't know how to do all the stuff that was required of me at this point in time to now make 3 other films. But I don't know. I'm excited about getting tired over doing the Stephen King story, but then I have 2 other really fucked up movies that I want to work on too. I need more me's. I need to clone myself and make so I can make more stuff.
well, I mean, hopefully, science will catch up to where we can, go from cloning sheep to cloning people. So it's
I
only a
mean,
matter
we
of time.
have been cloning people. Let's be real about it. We just haven't been open about it. Like, I feel like we've already been doing that. I swear, because I mean, I live in Hollywood. I see 7 of the same girl all the time. I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but I feel like we cloned that sheep a long time ago. We definitely know how to clone people, whether it's legal or not. That's a different story.
Mm-hmm.
That's a
Yeah,
different story. It's illegal. But if it wasn't like really a possibility, it's hard to make that. Why would you make it illegal?
that's a good point. Yeah.
Yeah. They're gonna make something that if it was improbable and wasn't something that was here, then why is it illegal? Like there's no law banning the Easter Bunny or Santa Claus because we know that's not real. Like,
Cur
huh?
No, I know, I was gonna say, I mean, we could go on for hours and hours. Like,
Mhm.
I could talk to you forever, but I definitely do want to go ahead and bring this episode to an end.
Yeah, it's late where you're at.
Yeah, but I definitely, yeah, it's 1 o'clock where I am right now. But plus I've had like 3 glasses of scotch, so that's another thing.
Oh wow.
Well, no, no, I take that back. Now it's 5 glasses of scotch that
Well,
because
my
that.
night is just starting. I'm gonna be about 5 blunts down here soon. I'm not a
but
drinker. I'm a smoker though.
but I was gonna say I definitely do plan on having you come back for future episodes. So just let me know how it goes with these other movies that you're doing, because
Mhm.
because if especially with that Stephen King movie, I mean, definitely keep me in the loop, because I would definitely love to have you come back just so we can have these discussions. Just because I always want to I always want to be in the know of what's going on with film. So
Oh yeah, definitely. You should move to LA then.
I don't know. I'm
Or,
I'm kind of enjoying where I am right now in North Carolina, just because I know where everything is, and plus
you
just,
know.
I mean, one last question: how do you feel about Renaissance festivals? Yay or nay?
I think that I'm a nerd, but I'm not that kind of nerd. But my friends seem to really love it. I will do a Renaissance festival when they're doing like the feudal Japan Renaissance.
Okay, so you're more interested in like the Renaissance period that's outside of Europe, right?
Yeah, I would love try the Renaissance period like in another country. Like Europe, I'm just like, you guys were like dirty, random dirt children during that time period, and the rest of the world was like doing math and like had kingdoms. So I'm like, I want to do feudal Japan,
So do
like
feudal
Westworld,
Japan.
like Westworld, you know?
Yeah, yeah. I was gonna say because I actually bought a lot some body armor, a helmet, and everything. So I'll be posting that picture when when me and my friends go to the Ren Fest, and I'll send you a picture just so you can see what what I'm doing all decked out in armor, and I'm standing next to the movie Pope, the namesake of this channel.
That'd be awesome.
But we're gonna go ahead and bring this to an end. This episode will probably be well over an hour, probably like over an hour 30 minutes. But but it was such a great conversation to have with you. And as always, remember to like, comment, subscribe, and thank you all so much for taking the time to watch. And happy Halloween! Take it easy.
Okay.